Hello and welcome to episode 51 of the XboxEra podcast. I'm Sikamikanico and I'm here as per usual with Shpeshal Ed.
What's going on?
I like that you've brought this back into our lives.
Yeah, I got demand for it, so it's back.
It's fine. And a very special guest, we have Smh A.K.A. ModernVintageGamer here to join us. How you doing, dude?
What's going on, gents? Great to be here. Thanks for having me on. I've been watching the show. I know you've had Rand and a couple of other guests on recent times, Jeff Grubb, someone I know pretty well. So, yeah, thanks for having me on. It's an absolute pleasure to be on with you guys.
Appreciate it. Yeah, we do love the Grubb. He's a top fella.
The Greek's already started.
I'm just happy to have another Greek on to back me up. I've needed the support.
Yeah, we should probably caveat this, right? For everyone else watching.
It is very refreshing to talk to another Australian. I don't get to do it very often, as you can probably imagine.
I'm feeling very outnumbered.
Yeah, good. Like, it's funny. I can't believe your parents let you leave Melbourne, mate. Like, Greek parents, mate. They want to keep you home as long as possible.
They want to keep you home until you're married, and even when you're married, they want to live like right next door to you, right? Is that how it goes?
Mate, next door? What do you mean? They usually have a house big enough where you live in one of the rooms.
Yeah, they build an annex for you or something.
Yeah. No, my parents are cool. They were very, very understanding, and the rest is history, I guess. I've lived in the US for many years now, but I do come to Melbourne quite regularly, so it's still home for me, of course.
Yeah. And for Xbox fans, I think possibly you might have appeared in a lot of their timelines in the last few weeks, the last few months, I should say, particularly when you had a close look at the Series S. I think I recall you seeing a really, really well done video as you dived into some of its emulation capabilities.
Yeah. It's interesting because when all that went down last year, if you recall, Microsoft was sending out Xboxes to I hate using the word influencers, right?
Yeah.
I hate being
I'm an
called
influencer
because I'm not, right? But so Microsoft did send me. They reached out and said, "Do you want one of the next gen Xboxes?" And I said, "Yes, I would love one." But everyone was going for the X, right? And I wanted the S because like everyone did videos on the X, and look, people did some really good content on it, but like if you watch one X video, it's like you know what the system's going to do, and you've got a pretty good understanding of its power and everything. So here's me with the S, right? And no one's seen the S yet, so I'm like, I'm gonna just tear this thing apart and see what this thing can do.
I watched the video,
and it got a lot of exposure, and it got picked up in media and stuff like that. So it was really cool to do that, and I'm glad I went down that path because the S is a great system. Great system.
I actually retrieved.
My brother got.
I retrieved mine. I let my friend borrow it because we like to play a lot of Sea of Thieves, and we found ourselves getting regularly wrecked by PC players. And he is like, "I've got a PC. I refuse to buy a console. I don't need one." And I'm like, "Fair enough, but can you just borrow this so we can, when we play our Sea of Thieves nights, we don't get destroyed by CS:GO players on a weekend off?" And I pulled it back. He was down doing some work for my dad this weekend, and I said, "Yeah. Can I have my Series S back? I kind of miss playing in my lounge, and it's really nice to have that machine back. And I'm still surprised at what it can do and how small it is. It's just it's a neat little console.
The teardown video is actually really good. He full on takes it apart. I watched him struggle at moments. I saw some screws left behind. I'm like, I reckon he's forgotten taking that screw out.
I didn't miss any of them. But what's interesting about the S is, you know how you watch like the 3D render, how it kind of comes apart, like how they showed the internals and stuff. When I took the system apart, it was exactly the way that they had shown you, like in that 3D render. And normally it's like there's about 50 million screws, and there's all sorts of stuff that you got to navigate to take a system apart. But this ended up being kind of 1-to-1, the exact same as that 3D render, which I thought was really cool. And the way that they engineered that system, and the way that they basically packed everything into it, because I don't know if you've lifted one up, but it's quite heavy considering the size. They just pack so much in there, and then managing to basically quieten the system just to make it whisper quiet, right? It's absolute feat of engineering, and I think it's a great system.
Yeah,
no question.
I think a lot of people are surprised at, I guess, how much of an easy sort of gateway drug into gaming that is.
Yeah.
Because if you don't care about 4K, it's a no-brainer. Yeah. It's so cheap.
I mean, like, there are some games that do run in 4K. There's a small handful of games. I think Ori's one of them.
Ori.
Yeah, and The Tourist is another one, I think, that does 4K. So the good news is, like, Microsoft didn't like put a barrier that this system won't ever be a 4K system. It's really up to the developer to decide, if they can make the game run at 4K. But look, I've seen comparisons with the S and the X. I don't have an X yet. I'm going to get one when I can actually get my hands on one, because they're so hard to find. But from what I've seen, like, Digital Foundry and stuff, a lot of the times, I mean, yeah, sure, they'll zoom in like 200% and you can see the differences, but just to the naked eye, sometimes you just can't really tell at all, the differences. And the other thing that really surprised me about the S is the ray tracing feature, because, and I've talked about this before, I never felt like ray tracing on the S was really a real feature. It was like a soft feature that they would just put on the boxes.
Yeah, it wouldn't actually happen in reality.
Yeah, it's like when Sony puts 8K on the PS5, right? What does that mean, But when I played Watch Dogs for the first time, Legion, I was like, holy shit, this is actually ray tracing. How are they doing this? So the system just continues to surprise me in so many ways, and it's very, very powerful. Yeah. A lot more powerful than you actually think it is,
Yeah, than it's given credit for.
Yeah, and it's weird, like when because I was very lucky, or I say we, the entity that is XboxEra, we're sitting pretty on a mere 4,000 subs right now as far as YouTube goes, but the marketing team at Microsoft, they were like, hey, we want to send you a Series S, and I was like, this is actually the cooler console to cover, because everyone and their mother was talking about the Series X, but the Series S was, it was leaked via Twitter kind of thing. That's how they announced it. No one really quite understood it, so it was really cool to be able to do that. But I got Watch Dogs Legion's code as part of that pre-release, and it was interesting. I was chatting with Tom Warren in the sort of run up to being able to talk publicly about this sort of stuff, and we were playing it, and I was like, is this ray traced now? Like, what the hell? Because the screen space reflections they were using were very good, and I was like, no way! Like, and then the devs released an update, and all of it disappeared, and we were like, what?
Yeah, that's
why
right,
did you do that? And then we had to wait a few weeks or months for it to all come back. But it was an interesting process to go through with Microsoft. It was really cool. But yeah.
I was going to say, I've watched a lot of your videos, Dim, and I watched your New Year's stream, and I've got to ask, why aren't you wearing the ugly Christmas Xbox jumper?
Well, it's not Christmas, mate. I mean, it's not Christmas in April.
Man, I'm like, you have to wear that jumper. It's hilarious.
Well, you'll have to get me back on during the Christmas Christmas season. I'll wear it for you guys. But I'm wearing my Series X shirt today.
You're very on brand
today. I actually don't mind that jumper. It looks nice.
Yeah.
Nice, good work.
But
it must be, you know what? Maybe it's a Greek thing, but I watched the videos where you restore the old consoles and the almost OCD level of detail that you go to when you clean them and restore. And I'm like, man, I'm watching this video and it reminds me a lot of myself, because I full on get into my stuff when I clean it. Yeah. And I thought, I wonder if he's a psycho like me that uses an old toothbrush to get into the cracks and crevices.
I do use an old toothbrush.
I've got old toothbrushes lying around the house that I just use them to get in between. And
oh god,
mate, it's the best thing to use for that stuff. The grills and stuff like that. Yep. Like, you can't just use a towel, because you won't get anywhere near the level of cleaning that you're looking for. You got to use a toothbrush. You have to.
The old toothbrush, mate, it's the best. I've got them lying around the house, and I use them for everything, even to clean like a keyboard and just.
I've now got a terrifying mental image of you two in like pennies, dusting shit. I don't know. I'm kind of mildly confused right now.
Well, with keyboards, I got to take off all the keys first. I can't.
Yes,
I
saw that one.
You have to. Yeah, you got to take all the keys out, and then you got to you put them all in soap and warm water, and you just you clean them that way, and then rinse them off. You have to do it.
Those cleaning videos were grouse. I like that.
If I put everything back together and there's like dirt or gunk somewhere, I know that I haven't done a good job, and I got to. I've cut corners somewhere, right?
Oh, that's good.
Go punish yourself for a while and come back later and do it again.
It's funny. Like I liked watching. Like I went back and watched a lot of your older videos. Like I watched the Spike Out. Was it Spike Out? The arcade game. I watched the old Spike Out.
What are you watching my old videos for? They're terrible.
But I like that. I liked watching, like, clearly when you first started doing the videos, you were just using whatever phone you had on you, and you were just like recording
this one right here, right? Yeah.
Yeah. And you were just recording the video, but then by, obviously the evolution, and then to your more recent videos where you've got the proper camera and you've got the mic. I don't know. I just liked watching, because if you go back and watch our earliest episodes of this podcast, it's a similar thing. Like, I've gone back and watched our first episode, and I'm
man,
oh God.
It is.
What is this?
It is a bit embarrassing going back in time.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm like, what is happening right now? But and then you see it just get better and better as time goes on, and I like that with your videos, and I used to like Spike Out too.
Well, how did you get into that, Tim? Like, how did you go?
YouTube,
I'm gonna be a YouTuber, because I guess Nick's kind of alluded to that process of you were just using what you had, and now you're sitting on 500,000 subscribers. Like, how did you do that? Tell us. We want to.
I think, I think it wasn't really something that I ever, set out to become, right? So it was like, so I set up my YouTube channel in 2007, believe it or not, and I've got some really crappy Call of Duty videos and stuff early on, where I'm running on like a potato computer and stuff. But I didn't really get serious about it until maybe 2016. And the reason why I started making content, not for like, I never thought I was going to become a successful YouTuber and make money and doing YouTube and stuff, right? I did it because I've got a lot of retro hardware and computers and stuff, and I felt like no one was really doing it very well at the time. And look, there were probably people that were doing it very well at the time, but at least the videos I was watching, I just felt like, I think I can do this better than the majority of people out there, and that's a little naive to say that, especially in the beginning. Like I said, the video you were watching, me holding a camera in my hand, and it was shaking around and stuff. But I felt like I had enough interesting things, electronics, gizmos, gadgets, retro gear, computers, game systems, to make a channel. And it was never really about like, trying to hit, 10,000 subs or 100,000 subs or anything. It was just really just for a bit of fun in the beginning. And there's always like a moment where you think, you're doing this, and then you get to a point where something happens. Like there's a particular moment where it's like, you know what? I think I can actually make something out of this. You know what I mean? So for me, it wasn't really until much later. So I started making videos seriously in like 2016, and I would like make one video a month. So, I mean, as you guys know, one video a month on YouTube, they're just going to laugh at you. They're not even going to put you and recommend it, right? So I started upping the content to like once a week to see how that would go. And then people would tell me, nah, that's not enough either. You got to make a video every single day. And I'm like, well, I don't want to do that, because that's a lot of work. I'd rather do a quality video once a week and just see how that goes, right? So I think there was like one particular video that just blew up for me, and that was the one that made me think, I think I know how to do this now. I think I know what's going on, and I understand how YouTube works. And interestingly enough, it was a video I did on the original Xbox, because I had an original Xbox, And before the original Xbox video, I was doing videos on like the Commodore Amiga and building PCs and stuff. And those videos were doing okay, right? But they were very, very much a small niche, audience that were watching those videos. So I love the original Xbox. It's one of my favorite systems. I love that system, and I've been a member of that homebrew community that built emulators for it and stuff.
Yeah.
So I thought, you know what, I'm going to talk about the original Xbox because it's just a great system, and I want to talk about the modding community and Xbox Media Player and all these, all these really cool apps that
XBMC.
XBMC.
Right? Such a fan.
But dude, I remember when I made the video, because I was kind of making Amiga videos before that. This was kind of a diversion away from that, right? So I was a little nervous that should I even release this video, because people that are watching me aren't watching me for Xbox, right?
That's right.
They're watching me for Amiga, and they're watching me for Commodore stuff. They're watching me for retro, Sega and Genesis stuff, right? So I was sitting on this video for about a week, and I remember it. I was like, I don't want to release this because it's going to kill my channel. Like, I'm going to lose my audience, right? These are the things that you say to yourself, right? But at this point, I was sitting at about maybe 15,000 subscribers. So I had already built a little bit of a platform. So I was very nervous about, should I go down this path or should I just continue with what I'm doing? So anyway, I decided to release it. And the thing blew up. Like it hit 100,000 views in about a week. I was like, holy shit. Like, I think we're onto something here, and I remember getting like these fans from Brazil and Argentina and around the world saying, man, I love that video. Like, it just brings back so many memories of, and there was like these guys from Argentina that hit me up and said, hey, we still play Halo on our OG Xboxes with X-Link and all this stuff, and it really just resonated with people. And I think that was really the turning point for me, where it was like, I think I can make something out of this, I've got enough here where I can tell a story, or I can talk about something and really just make some good content. And that's kind of how it all went. Like, it was never a planned thing for me. And even now, like, people ask me, what's your roadmap look like for the next 12 months? I have no idea. Like, every week I just think, what am I going to do this? What am I going to do next week? I don't have this big Excel spreadsheet of like, videos that are planned. I just, whatever kind of feels good, in the heart is usually what I go with. And most of the time it works. Sometimes it doesn't. But I do have a really good fan base and people that watch me, and, I'm very, very supportive and appreciative of them.
Yeah. Oh, mate, my brother is a massive fan of you. He was the one that was pushing me. He's like, man, you got to get MVG on the show.
You're welcome, Chris.
This guy's unreal. You got to get him on the show. Like, I loved your Nintendo 64 video where you talked about why the 64 was powerful, but why it was so hard to code for. And I just, I'm watching it, and don't misunderstand. Like, I was a malaka listening to this video, and I'm like, I don't understand any of this, but I loved hearing it, like, because I loved the Nintendo 64.
Yeah,
and
it's funny you say that. I get comments sometimes where people say, I didn't understand a word you said, but I loved the video.
Well, on that subject, what's a malaka? Help me out here, guys. Come on. I know, I'm outnumbered, but
go on, Nick. Let them know.
A malaka is the Greek word for a wanker.
Oh, okay, right.
Okay,
I'm familiar with that term. That's okay.
Like,
great.
I don't watch Dim's videos with any understanding for what he's saying. Like, I'm actually in awe of his level of knowledge on this stuff. Like, I love hearing really smart people talk within their space. Like, I love that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
and when that stuff is video games, all the more.
Yeah, it's a good subject to kind of like. Listen to an expert in their field.
I know you guys have me on as the guest, but I got to ask you guys a question. So, how do you guys know each other, and how did this whole thing happen? And you probably get this all the time, but I got to ask.
No, it's fair. Could you?
It started. So we have a Discord, that started back in 2018, and that Discord was born from like a Twitter group DM. And the funny thing is that Twitter group DM was basically born from people complaining about how shitty it is to talk about Xbox on Resetera.
Right.
And then one of the guys in there was like, man, let's start Discord. And we're like, yeah, okay. So we jumped into a Discord, and it just grew from there. But then I had always been talking about doing a podcast in that Discord. And then someone in there was like, man, I think there's someone on the forum that wants to do a Xbox podcast as well. He's like, maybe reach out to him and see. And I did. So I sent John a message, and
the rest is history.
Just
right on.
From there. Like literally that simple.
I forced Nick to do other things like, hey, let's build a site to host this fledgling podcast. And then we were like, we want to provide a platform for our community that we're building. So we built forums and all sorts of other things. And, it's interesting you were talking about the tipping point. We're really lucky in that, much like you, families you need to look after. I don't do this full time, content creation, as much as I'd love to. Right. But it feels every day a little bit more like that tipping point gets a little closer. And we haven't had anything go crazy and blow up yet. But... We're lucky in that we're not solo. We've got a really good group of about 15, 16 people all over the globe that do a variety of things, So, like, I don't have to necessarily, as a content creator, I don't have to necessarily write the script, but we work through like a peer review process. And when someone's done a review, if they haven't got the video editing skills, etc., one of us that does can pick it up and do the script and all that sort of thing. So it really kind of helps us hit that cadence of content a little bit quicker. But the biggest thing for us that kind of changed how we operated and how we were working was, again, another person on the forums, a lovely gentleman by the name of Predrag. He's a digital artist, graphic designer, or as we like to call him, visual production specialist, because he just came in and he produces these amazing intros, artwork, the iconography of and the language of our little platform. And it really feels like, when you look at it, if you didn't know any better, it feels like a legitimate business, that's sitting there underneath the platform. And there's aspirations for it to be that one day. I certainly would much rather do this for a living than anything else, but it takes a lot of hard work and effort to get there. So it's interesting listening to, it's I guess it's humbling and a nice recognition that, hey, we all start from using phones and hoping for the best and working our way through it to get to a point where you can say goodbye to doing what you used to do and doing something you love for a living instead. So it's been a journey.
No doubt. Just stick with it, guys. I mean, I will say that, like, 6 months ago I had no idea what XboxEra was, right? But all of a sudden in my Twitter timeline I start seeing like Jeff Grubb retweet and Randall thought, and so I'm seeing this name come up in my feed. I'm like, what's this XboxEra stuff? Is it like recent era? And
well, that's a concern.
Here we are.
That's a
you've
concern.
Got me on the show, so it's it's something that it's organic.
Your reply to
what
me
I mean?
makes sense now. Now that you're saying this, your reply to me makes sense. I'm like, he replied quite positively, quite quickly. I'm like, why? That's weird. He wouldn't know who we are.
No, I know who you guys are. And just keep at it. I think good things will come, and you guys have definitely got that platform already established. So
it's going.
Just keep at it. It'll come. For sure.
That reminds me. I reckon we'll have to get you in the Discord. I reckon.
Yeah.
Send me an invite to it. I'll jump on there. I am usually pretty busy, so I usually just idle in most Discords.
Look,
but throw me in there.
Trust me, you're not the only one. You wouldn't be the only one. I assure you.
Yeah,
we have a few developers in there that are the same. They don't say much, but
they're
sort of
idling. It's interesting though, like the whole. Getting people on and doing all of this sort of stuff. I feel like there are times when we have a discussion about, what could we do to get more views, right? But then you were talking earlier about quality versus quantity. Doing a video every day, I don't want to do that. And we've tried to make a deliberate choice to not fanboy, because you see XboxEra and you think, well, that's just going to be a fanboy site. right? There's just like, woo, Microsoft, PlayStation smells, and all this sort of thing, which is, couldn't be further from the truth, because everybody on the team has everything. And I feel like, there's a risk in some ways of not leaning into that fact. There are other Twitter outlets out there that do just purely go that fanboy route, and they get lots and lots of attention and retweets because they're funny fanboy console wars. But it's just not a route we ever want to step into, because it removes all credibility. I'd much rather someone say, I read that article and it was really good because it was based in fact than something dumb. Yeah. So it's a difficult line.
You definitely don't want. Yeah, I mean, I think you nailed it with everything you said. It's you don't want to kind of chase views, right? Like, you don't want to go for those easy views, those easy clicks. But on the flip side, if there's a story to tell, then you definitely want to, you want to cover that, right? So, but I think ultimately, what makes a good brand is just stick to the plan, and be consistent and just continue doing what you guys do. It'll definitely come, and it's been a good start for you guys. No question about that.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. Yeah, appreciate it.
I do want to ask something though. You're still with Nightdive, yeah?
I am, yeah. So I work at Nightdive Studios. So this is kind of my journey. So we were talking about my YouTube. I did become, I don't want to say a full-time YouTuber, because I'm not a full-time YouTuber. I still think YouTube is a side job for me more than anything, because you guys know what YouTube is like. It's one week you'll do well. Next week your videos will get demonetized. The week after that, you'll get no views. Like
Nintendo came after you, didn't they?
Yeah, Nintendo strikes your channel. The money that you make is it can be good sometimes, but sometimes it can't. It could be terrible. So you can't rely on a platform that's literally just the sands are shifting underneath, all the time.
Yeah.
To say, to make a budget or a budget out, the next 12 months of your work and think about how much money you could make, because the platform changes all the time. Like, I mean, I don't want to say this, but like, they could all take away ads, next week, and none of us are getting paid. And that's the reality of YouTube, right? Advertisers could, for whatever reason, just pull their ads away. What happens then? So I never want to, commit to a platform where there's things like that could potentially happen. So YouTube for me is like a side hustle, and it always has been. So I used to work full time. I had office jobs. I worked in the IT sector. So I had kind of business IT office jobs for many years. And when I came to the US, my first job that I got over here was working for a media company. I did IT there as well. But slowly I started to transition into game development. And I work at Nightdive Studios, and I also work at Limited Run Games as a contractor there as well. So I do game development on both of their I do game dev for both of them, and whatever projects they have going on there. But so I kind of consider those two more as full-time work, and then the YouTube stuff is kind of side work. So
no, I know, because I thought Nightdive. I'm like, wait, Nightdive, the Turok ports for Xbox. And I mean, obviously they came to Switch, and now just recently PlayStation 4.
Yep.
I'm curious how Nightdive chooses, organizes what games they're gonna bring back, like remaster. Do you guys seek them out, or I don't know, like how do you guys choose them?
So the way it works is, so Nightdive is, you nailed it, is a company that their specialty is bringing back old games from the depths, right? And bringing it back and making them look good, adding quality of life enhancements, adding 60 FPS, adding widescreen, adding gyro, and all the fun bells and whistles of a modern console experience. So how do they get those licenses? The simple answer to that is the CEO, Stephen, he's a big PC gamer nut from the 90s, and he loves PC gaming. So if you ever follow his Twitter, he's got like a big box PC game collection. And so what he does is he'll literally scour video games and find licenses for old games that he used to love and play back in the day, right? So he was a big Turok fan. He was a big fan of Doom. We did Doom 64. He's a big Shadow Man fan, right? Yeah. And once he gets the licenses, then it's really well, can we bring this game back? Do we have the original code to work off of, or do we reverse engineer the game? In the case of Turok, what actually happened was, and I was not around when Turok first came out, but they reverse engineered the Nintendo 64 game, and then halfway through it, my understanding is the one of the original developers actually said, "Oh, I've got the source code for this on one of my old hard drives. Do you want it?" And they said, "Yes, we would love it." And that's how Turok kind of came to be. So yeah, that's really how that all happens. If there's something that's available to get as a license, and it's something that he likes, and not just necessarily him. What usually happens is sometimes we'll have a meeting, and he'll kind of give us a list of like 10 games. And he'll say, which of these, would you like to see? And then he'll tally up the votes and then go after and see if he can get the licenses for them. And sometimes we'll say some ridiculous stuff that there's just no way we can get.
I would love to see that anyway. List. I would so love to see that list. Like,
unfortunately, I cannot share that list with you. But
I'm playing through Turok at the moment. I'm just doing it slowly because I want all the achievements for it. So it's so cool. Because I had it on 64, and then once I bought it on the Xbox, I'm like, I don't need this cart anymore. 64 carts still sell for a lot.
Oh, I know. Yeah, they do.
I'm hesitant to sell. Look, a lot like you, I used to be a big collector, and the thing is, my house is not very big, and with kids and everything, it's just. I'm like, who am I keeping this stuff for? I don't think my kids are going to be into this kind of stuff. So who am I ultimately keeping it for? So I, got rid of my NES, my SNES, Mega Drive, my Master System. Heartbreaking to lose it all.
Right.
But I've been, I got the SNES Mini, the NES Mini, the Mega Drive Mini. So at least there's something there. But the 64, I bought Banjo and Banjo-Tooie on 360 arcade. I thought, well, if I'm ever going to play these games again, I'm going to play them on 360. I'm not going to play them on the 64 at 4 frames per second. So I sold the Banjo cart, and it sold for just over $100.
Wow.
I believe it.
And same with Perfect Dark. Same with, I think Turok wasn't quite as much, but still a lot. And it's just the 64 in particular is, man,
it's hot. Yeah. It's one of those systems right now that, for whatever reason, is really up there in price.
Yeah, very much so.
Wow.
Turok is awesome. Yeah, and I love that game so much. And
me too.
When I joined, one of the reasons why I joined the company was because they work on games that I used to love playing when I was. I don't want to say a kid, but when I was in my 20s, right?
I was about to say, man, Shadow Man's, we would have been in our 20s with Shadow Man. I had it on Dreamcast.
So it's been a lot of fun to work with those guys, for sure.
Must be a trip to do the nostalgia pit. Sorry, go on, Nick.
No, I was going to say, do they only select 3D games, or do you guys tackle 16-bit style or 8-bit style?
Mostly 3D, but there are some titles that we're currently working on that are not 3D. They're more 2D, but most of them would be 3D. Like I said, we're trying to modernize these games, make them look good, bring them forward.
Because I was going to make a request.
Let us know. I'll pass it on and
tell your CEO that he needs to get Rock and Roll Racing.
Rock and Roll Racing. Well,
get it off Blizzard. Get it off Blizzard.
That's a tough sell, yeah, because we'd have to talk to Activision. I don't know how that's going to go. They'll probably just tell us to piss off.
God, I used to love that game, man.
They are bringing it back in a collection, aren't they?
Very soon. A collection, yeah.
I think it's already out. Actually, the Blizzard collection that just came out. It's got Rock and Roll Racing, Lost Vikings, and there's a third game that I can't remember.
It was Digital Extremes, I think, that did that collection.
Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
Wow.
Pretty good.
Yeah. I love Rock and Roll Racing so much.
Speaking about the nostalgia of old games and legacy content and all of that fun stuff, one of the big news items that sort of happened this week was the closure of the PlayStation 3, Vita, PSP, all of those old PlayStation digital stores just disappearing forever. Admittedly, the enthusiast gamer bubble has been in a bit of an uproar about it. I've seen a few articles on Eurogamer and some other sites complaining about it. I mean, what's your take on it, Dim? Is it, is this something that really Sony should be like, no, come on, we can afford to leave the lights on at least and keep this content alive, or do you, what's your take?
A video on it?
Indeed.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a couple of different. This is pretty complicated, right? Because the first thing I will say is this. Remember in the days when you would buy like a PS2 and you could just play PS1 games and put a PS1 memory card in and you could play PS1 games. And then when you got a PS3, you could play PS2 and PS1 games.
Yep.
Something along the way has been lost with Sony, right? Like they used to be really good at this stuff as far as backward compatibility is concerned, and their legacy, and just bringing their games forward, right? So to see the PS3 store, the Vita store, and the PSP store ultimately get sunset isn't necessarily a big surprise to me. In fact, I'm a little surprised that you can still buy PSP games in 2021. Quite honestly,
I was surprised to read that some people were developing games and have released one like couple of months ago or something.
That. Yeah, they sold someone a dev kit a month ago, knowing they were going to close the store.
That's the part that kind of is very, very unfortunate for me. But like the stores closing themselves, I think is inevitable, right? I mean, we're all kind of expecting that to happen, and like I said, it's 2021, so. It's kind of time for these stores to get sunset. But I think where it gets really frustrating and confusing is the grace period that Sony gave us, right? And developers, like, because you've got 4 months and 5 months for the Vita. Normally when there are store closures like this, it's usually like a 12-month grace period. Yeah. Like I think about the Nintendo Wii when the Wii Shop went down, they gave like maybe even more than a year of a heads up that the store is going to close, right? So it seems very aggressive that they're just over the summer here in the US they're gonna close down all these stores, right? And you just wonder, well, why they're doing this so fast? It seems a little strange to me. And the offshoot of that, as you guys were alluding to, was you've got developers are still making PlayStation Vita games, and now they're in this unfortunate situation where they say, well, shit, do we try to crunch and get our games out before the store closes and see if we can recoup some money, or do we just cut our losses today and move over to the Switch, right? And that sucks for them, because I know a particular guy who's working on Vita games in 2021, and I asked, well, why would you still work on Vita games in 2021? And he said, it's simple. We look at our sales numbers and it makes money for us. It's a money maker for us. It's a
hardcore audience.
Yeah,
it's a very hardcore audience.
And I was actually on the Vita earlier because I'm making a video on the Vita for Monday's video, and I was just looking through the store to see what was the new releases. And there's new releases from February. There's new releases in January. There's new releases in last December. There's new releases in March. I mean, there are still games coming out for the system. And I think the real sad part is, Sony's just literally just cut the cord and they said, that's it. you're done. And there's no kind of leverage they've given to the developers to say, look, finish your business that you're working on, get it out, and we'll give you X number of months to sell your game, and then that's it. We're not going to sign you up for any new games. And they just basically cut the cord. And I think ultimately that's the real sad part. And I guess the other part of this is going back to the Sony's legacy. There's not really a solution, for playing these games anymore, because, like I said, you could play PS2 games on a PS3 and you could play PS1 games on a PlayStation 2, but on your PS5, you don't really have any way of playing these games, which I think is something that they should take a look at, right? I mean, they need to come up with a way to do this. Now, whether Jim Ryan, cares about doing that, I don't know. It doesn't seem like
publicly
he does.
On record as not caring.
Who play this?
But it's just very sad, because I mean, there are going to be, I don't know how many there are, but there's going to be at least 100 or so titles that are just going to get lost forever. And in some cases, they're digital only, that will never be heard from or seen again unless you've got access to a modded system or, emulation or stuff like that. And I think ultimately that's the real sad part. There's no, hey, but, there was no kind of lifeline that they threw where they said, but don't worry, we're working on something, that will, we'll bring this back for you or something.
That's a question, right? So, we know in 2015, and I've heard the interview stories behind the team that brought the initial backwards compatible release stuff to the Xbox One. So this is after the 360 back compat with the original Xbox, and they brought it to Xbox. We don't know if we can do this. Give us a year. We want to see if we can figure this out. And they did, and and that team continues to do some really clever stuff without even touching code. And I love that. And there are, and this is, I guess I'm getting into what I would like to call bubbles on the internet, right? There are folks out there that really, and I'm one of them, that really appreciate that my purchases as a consumer are respected, in that I can buy something and it will stay with me as I move through. Right? Coming from a PC background, I'm that's the norm anyway, but I like that is there on console. But you often hear this bubble saying, oh, well, the PS3 really screwed them over, the Cell, it's impossible to emulate, and da-da-da-da-da. They've got the real guts and specs on that, right? And from a technological point of view, the PS5 surely now has got to be at a point where it can brute force this if they dedicated some development time to create some sort of backwards compatible program. And I think that the biggest piece of this is just a disparity between consumer bases, in that when Microsoft screw up, Xbox fans themselves,
they hear about
right, will be like, yo, no. I mean, look at the gold price hike, right? They'll make a big old fuss, and Microsoft, okay, we're sorry, we won't do that again. And I like that, because I think that that's a sign of kind of two-way conversation. But it seems like a lot of people just roll over with a lot of this stuff. Nintendo does some of this as well. They do stuff, and it just, it's how Nintendo are, and that's a very similar
Mario
mindset.
Died the other day, remember? Mario got executed the other day.
Yep.
So
it was a bad week for both of them, both Sony both Sony and Nintendo, for different reasons. But I mean, both of them are having closures, of their games and the removal of games, forever. So. Very similar circumstances.
It just blows my mind a little bit. On the Sony side, you sit there and think, "Come on, guys! You arguably your brand, the PlayStation brand, is it's up there with Nintendo in terms of, especially for the Generation X or whatever audience that they grew up on this. All of these old games, regardless of how they look or don't look and run, are important to a lot of people, and you should be promoting and look at our legacy in this industry. And then on the other flip side, you've got Nintendo who are like, we'll release the old games again, and you can buy them again and again and again. And both sets of fans are just like, okay. I will never understand that lack of pushback, outside of enthusiast circles.
I totally agree with that, what you say. I don't know what it is, like weird. I'm not happy that Sony is not looking back at their legacy and saying, we need to bring this forward. And your point about PS3 emulation on the PS5, yes, I think it is something they could do.
Reach out to the guys making what's it called?
RCPS, RCPS3.
The worst name in the world.
Like, collaborate with them, for God's sake. Like, come on, just...
Yeah, I think they need to do something there. Whether they will, it does remain to be seen. But yeah, I think Sony's not really interested in that right now. Like, I'm not saying that they won't do it, but I would probably feel confident in saying that for the next 18 months, maybe 2 years, their focus is going to be on PlayStation 5. That's it.
Yeah.
Like, PSVR, the next PSVR, and the first-party games that they want to get out, Ratchet and Gran Turismo and God of War, all that stuff, which is fine. Like, you want to establish that base. I get it, but hopefully, they'll see this and say, we need to do something, because you're right. I mean, the announcement they made was just very business-like. Yeah. Like they didn't respond to any specific, follow-up questions or anything. It was just a statement that the store was closing, and that was it.
Yeah.
And your example about Xbox Live Gold, I remember that very well. I was literally there watching it unfold, literally, and they, Xbox turned around and said, "We screwed up. We're sorry." It's like, oh. I thought you were supposed to be a faceless business entity, but they realized they'd made a mistake. So it's very different, to see the two companies, the way that they respond on social media, about things like that.
And that's the thing. We've spoken about this in the past. I think that's why the Nintendo fans and the Sony fans just kind of accept it for what it is, because Sony and Nintendo don't interact on social media. They don't have much social media presence. And by that, like, obviously there's an official PlayStation account and Nintendo account, but like Phil Spencer is on Twitter and interacts with people. Phil Spencer is on our forums and has replied to people on our forums before. So they've set that expectation now. They've set that bar where they interact with their community and respond with their community, which is why they cop the backlash when they need to.
Yeah.
Because the community already has this understanding that
it's an open dialogue. It's
the head of Xbox actually responds to us. So, you know what? I'm going to crack the shits because they did something I didn't like, and they're going to hear about it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I mean, look, you take the good with the bad, because there's psychos out there that come after you. But I mean, I guess it's good that they respond to stuff like that.
Yeah.
But,
it's interesting as well, Dim. You said, I think offhand, you said, they're both having a pretty rubbish week. And I guess that leads me to my other topic that was a genuine surprise for a Friday, deliberately after April's Fool's Day.
Yeah, I know.
I suspect, in that PlayStation San Diego's MLB The Show is now day one on Game Pass.
What an announcement that was! What an announcement! Can you believe that? Can you believe that?
Like, I don't care. I'm British. It's baseball. Whatevs.
I was about to say I don't care about baseball. I don't even care about cricket.
Dude, that was a massive announcement here in the US, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't believe it when I saw that. I was like, I read Phil's tweet and I was like, what? Is he? Am I misreading this? And of course, Tom Warren's picked it up and and everyone else. It's like, holy shit, this is amazing to think that they're getting the game before Sony is, day one on Game Pass.
Yeah.
On the PS5, you got to pay $70 to play the game. Yeah. How did that work? And people will say, well, the MLB published it, but they did. But look who developed the game. It's PlayStation. Yeah.
That's right.
So
Sony first party developed it.
It's very. I mean, that's a huge get for Game Pass.
Yeah,
huge get.
And technically, you get both versions on Game Pass. Technically, you're getting the Xbox One and the Series X upgraded version. If you want both versions on PlayStation, you got to get someone Junior Edition, $85.
Yeah.
To get both versions, like
the Jackie Robertson edition.
Yeah, yeah, that's right. Some sort of special. Again, I don't know baseball, but it's it was an insane situation.
It's an interesting disparity, right? And our own team, there was a very heated discussion in our internal Discord about wanting to write something around those, and and the general feedback from most of the team was, whatever way you write this, it turns into console wars. So there's no report the news, but like I don't really want to go into an opinion piece on it. I mean, when you're on a podcast and you're verbalizing, it's a bit of a gut punch, right? It's like, if you look at the two, I'm a customer, I've been buying this game every year for however many years MLB's been a thing, right? And then it's now coming out on Xbox, and on that side of the fence where there's zero audience, they get it, and I put free around it because it's obviously a part of your subscription service, but it's just and they don't have to worry about messing around with upgrades or paying extra to play the version for the machine that you've got. You just there you go. There's the game on the same day. Have fun. You can pre-install it before everyone else. If I'd be sitting there as a PlayStation customer going, wait,
something's not right here.
You got to wonder, like, what did Sony benefit directly from that financially, or is that more a boatload of cash has been arranged for MLB to make that deal on behalf of the franchise? I'm
pretty sure they negotiated this with MLB. I'm pretty sure they negotiated with MLB, because I'd be staggered think so too. If Sony was like, yeah, sweet, no worries, just put it on Game Pass.
Take some of that Game Pass money.
Yeah, go for it. Don't worry about it. Like, I don't know, if there was ever, at this point in time, if there was ever anyone that had any doubt how all in Microsoft is on Game Pass, like, that doubt has to be gone now. Like,
yeah, I would agree. And I mean, I was thinking the same thing when it all went down yesterday. You know, you have to take this seriously now. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people out there still feel like Microsoft is still the pretender, when it comes to this stuff. They've the underdog. They've got the hardware, but they don't have the games, and all that stuff. But right now they just can't miss. They're just one after the other. These big announcements. Outriders was another one a couple of weeks ago. The announcement and everything, and the Bethesda games, and now this. I mean, what's next? We don't know, and there's this precedent that's been set that all of a sudden these games now, they could be coming day one on Game Pass. So
there's more.
It's amazing. More. I bet there is. Yeah,
we have a rumor mill for later. There's more. Don't worry.
Oh, here we go.
You got a live rumor mill. Right. You can enjoy the moment, and it's also the wider. If you think about it from a casual. I hate the phrase casual gamer. Everyone's a casual. I'm a casual gamer. I just read a lot. But it's sports franchises in general, right? If you look at EA Play, you're going to have your FIFA 21 is coming to Game Pass.
FIFA 21's coming, yeah.
Yep.
I think did I see Madden as well, and all the others, and it's just it's just a juggernaut. And we've said this before on this podcast, right? Is people still think of this as Xbox versus PlayStation, but it's not. It's Microsoft, $1 trillion. We want to be the biggest gaming subscription service, and we're going to put all of our money behind it, like we do with Azure and Windows and Office, and we will do it. And people still doubt that, and like other companies are just going to rock up and be able to just splash down the cash to build a similar service. It's not that simple.
Google found out the hard way.
Yeah, I mean, look what happened there. So it's an interesting time. It really is.
They're definitely disrupting the industry, and I'm here for it. I love it. I mean, one of the arguments that I've heard is it's just a rental service, but it's not a rental service, right? I mean, first of all, you can buy the game if you like it
with a discount.
With a discount.
Yep.
So it's not Blockbuster. I mean, you can buy the games as should you choose to do so, and I've done that a couple of times already.
Yeah, so have I.
With Game Pass. So
that's the beauty of it, though.
Yeah, it's just so good.
The strategy is you play it free with your subscription, and then as soon as you see it go on a deep discount, if you want to own it, buy it. But you've still been there day one as well to play it.
Yeah.
It's just...
The FOMO of game day one releases is evaporated. But if you're a fan of owning your games, which I can't disagree with, right? You can. It's just, I think as well that the whole beat of Game Pass, the media beat. You were saying they can't miss at the moment, Dim, and you see it because they've made it such a hoo-ha by making these big titles as announcements. They get positive press every 2 weeks. Just we're adding all these games.
Game Pass would have been huge for Outriders.
Yeah.
No one was talking about Outriders before it was announced for Game Pass. No one was talking about it.
Yeah. They kind of had a demo and people were like, it's all right.
Yeah. It's almost become a marketing tool at this point.
Well, that's the interesting thing, right? Even I am like, No. But now I'm like, I didn't have to go to the shop and spend X amount of cash. I could just press download, while I'm at work or, wherever, and it will appear. And, my friends have all got it because they've all... And then I can just go play, and it's no skin off my nose. I can spend 3 hours on it. If I hate it, I can just walk away with zero lost. Cases,
you can play it on your phone. MLB is part of xCloud.
That's mad. It's just...
Yeah. And it's just... And, it's funny, we were talking about the Sony legacy stuff earlier. In the same week that Microsoft announced a whole bunch of OG and 360 games coming to xCloud as well. It's just man.
They need to chill.
They do, don't they? But why should they chill though? I mean, they're just all guns are firing right now, and man, I love it. I love it because I love Xbox, right? I bought an original Xbox. I love the 360. I hated the Xbox One. I hated that era, the Don Matrick era. That's when I got more into PlayStation 4. I'm not going to lie about it. I'd hardly touched my Xbox One. And I was one of those people that had questioned how they're going to get back into some semblance of competitiveness. How are they going to get back into form? The hardware was never in question. The hardware's always been great. But how are they going to get that market share? How are they going to get the trust of the people back? Because I think everything that happened with the Xbox One really burnt a lot of customers, myself included. I just felt like PlayStation's got the games. It's just easier on PlayStation. But now, I mean, with this, it's easier on xCloud to play these games than anything else. And I personally love convenience. I love, you said, click on the button and go away for a few hours and the game's ready for you to play. I just set the games to download overnight, come back the next morning, they're ready to go. I'm playing. So I really do commend Phil and Xbox for bringing it back, man. Like they're right there now, with Sony. And I love it. I love to see that. I love the competition. I love the fact that they are a player again. And I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Yeah, it feels like there's been a bit of a shift, just in terms, and talking about online and marketing. I think they had I saw back and forth Xbox versus Skittles on Twitter this week. And man, that got really close. Because Skittles, they brought out the big guns because they promised to bring back lime Skittles as a flavour, and that boosted them way over 50% of the vote. But then Xbox promised the Series X mini fridge as a return gesture. And they just clinched it. It was super close. It was on Twitter, it was 50-50.
That's funny.
50.1 versus 49.9 or something in the end. It was full on.
But they just seem to be really enjoying themselves, and I think it speaks to a team of people that are working on something that is very clear. This is what we're going to build. We're not worrying about this bit of hardware over here or an add-on we're trying to sell over here. Just make games and make good hardware.
Yeah, but to be fair, it helps that they have convinced Satya to
invest
the mythical war chest. They've allowed
it's
access
real.
to that mythical Microsoft war chest that everyone's talked about for years. That does help a little bit. They're pumping money into this like they haven't since the OG days when Bill Gates was like, I don't care, we've got to take out Sony. Just throw whatever money you have to at it.
Yeah.
And they built like a Pentium 3 PC and crammed it into a box and put an NVIDIA GPU in there. And we're like, that thing kept up. I know this is a tangent, but that thing kept up with high-end PCs at the time. and was like beating him. It was a monster, but that's just because Microsoft pumped so much money into it.
I wonder
just like,
what the build cost of the OG Xbox was back in the day.
Oh,
do you know, Dim?
It was a lot. It was a lot. And that's why Nintendo ultimately split with Microsoft, because at the time Microsoft didn't have their own fabrication plants to build this stuff, so they had to basically get it all built off site. And because Nvidia was making the graphics chips, Nvidia was kind of squeezing them on cost.
Big time.
There was a big court case between Microsoft and Nvidia, and ultimately they settled out of court. But Nvidia said, "Nah, we're not making any more chips for you guys. You guys got to find someone else for the next system." And that's why they went with AMD, and that's why AMD's been pretty much around since then, since 2005, 2006.
I did not know that.
That Nvidia was like bent them over a barrel big time.
Yep.
I'm so shocked Nvidia price gouging everyone.
Hopefully that relationship that they have now with Nintendo doesn't sour.
Yeah, it seems pretty solid.
The rumors of that Switch Pro are sounding pretty damn cool.
Yeah, and I mean, it doesn't seem like it will. Like, I think they're going to be a long-term partner with Nintendo, but we'll see. We'll see what happens there.
I look forward to you cracking it open, and
I can't wait. Yeah,
what you're going to do with it.
When they come out with one, I'll definitely open it. I love opening up systems because I want to see what's inside, right? Like, I want to see this magical, 4 teraflop or 10 teraflop system, that people keep talking about. I want to see it.
I'm intrigued. Like, I question somewhat the point. Like, I get, game scale and all that jazz, but people do. You tell me, guys. I don't really buy anything on the Switch for the graphics. I buy it for the gameplay, right? So
yeah,
I question a little bit. Is Netflix on the Switch yet?
I don't think so.
Right, is anything on the Switch from a 4K media consumption?
Only YouTube.
Right, so I question the point of this mythical Switch Pro. Like,
because I want 1080 60 Switch games, that's why.
Well, do you guys have 4K TVs in your house?
Yeah.
Yes.
I know they look really fuzzy.
That's ultimately, I think, what they're trying to solve for, because if you dock your Switch and play a game, it looks a little... It's got that Vaseline effect,
it's not great.
Looks a little fuzzy. And you plug in your PS5 or your Xbox Series X, it looks crystal clear and it looks gorgeous, right? I think they're just trying to compete because, their specs now are at 1080p. So I think what they're trying to do is just do enough to make their games look good on a 4K television, whether that's DLSS or some type of upscaling,
which is
whatever. Yeah, I think that's what they want to do, and that's the right move to make, because
that's fair.
As the Switch is rumored to be in the middle of its life cycle, and if that's true, a couple of years from now, if there's still 1080 at 1080p and we're running 4K, everyone's got 4K displays, no one's going to want to play those games docked.
Well, they're barely 1080, really.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's not even 1080, right? So I think they just want to. It's like, when the PS4 Pro came out and the Xbox One X came out. They did those mid-season refreshes because more people were getting into 4K at the time.
Yeah.
So they made 4K consoles, to make those people happy. I think Nintendo's ultimately going to need to do the same thing with the Switch because, it's 1080p and all that.
Yeah, it's not like they're strangers to the process, though. They did it with the DS how many times?
Yep.
Yeah.
Many times.
It's a no-brainer as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. What else happened this week? I finally
got my headphones 2 weeks after. Like, seriously, when they announced those Bang & Olufsen headphones, like Bang & Olufsen were like, we're working with Xbox. I'm like, awesome. I am going to buy these. $800 be damned. I want to buy these headphones. And I waited. And I waited, and like 8 months went past. I'm like, what the hell's going on with these headphones? And then Xbox announced their official ones, and they were like 150 Australian. I'm like, well, clearly these Bang & Olufsen things aren't happening. So I just went and bought the official Xbox ones. And now 2 weeks later, Bang & Olufsen's like, here's our new headphones. I'm like, are you fucking serious right now? Like, Oh my god! I rang up Chatty. I say Chatty like John would know Chatty.
I know
Dim
what Chatty
would know
is.
Chatty. Dim knows Chatty. I rang up Chatty because they're the Bang & Olufsen outlet in Melbourne, and I'm like, "Have you guys got the portals yet?" They're like, "We're getting them any day now. We're going to have demo units. Come in and check them out." So I'm probably going to go to Chatty either later today or tomorrow and check out these Bang & Olufsens. But they're about 800 Australian, I think, 750,
Wow.
800 Australian.
You're writing the review for XboxEra, dude. Yeah, I'll leave that to you.
Yeah. I think I'm going to have to buy that new camera soon because I don't have a good camera to make those kinds of videos look nice. I need to get something. I got to
slow
find
pans.
But yeah, I'm very annoyed that they waited till literally 2 weeks after the official ones came out to announce these.
Well,
things.
look at how it was announced. Look at how it was announced, right? I saw so many people going, "Oh, $500 or whatever it was." Yeah, if you're looking at it and going, "It's not for you, buddy," they announced yours 2 weeks ago. Head down to Costco and pick them up.
That's exactly right.
And indeed, I've got some, and I was playing Control, and I've been playing It Takes Two, and I'm thoroughly impressed for the price of what they're capable of. I don't like, now I've spent some serious hours with them. I don't like these have got a really nice cloth kind of mesh. And they've got that foamy leather.
That is.
And as I thought, annoying. After about a 5-hour gaming sesh, there was that kind of sticky.
Yeah.
And as soon as someone releases some better cups, I will pick some up as an add-on.
I think that was my biggest issue with them too. Like I like them. That for me, they kind of push up against my ears a little too much. Like the pressure, maybe a little more than I would like. But I mean, it's also, they're $100 headphones. So, for what you get, they're fine. The other thing I didn't like was, if you're using them on the Xbox, they're great. Obviously that's where you want to use them. But I tried to pair them up with my Windows 10 PC, and man, I was having so many problems. Like,
really?
It wouldn't pair with Bluetooth. And when I finally got to pair up, I was getting the sound quality wasn't very good, and then it would drop connection, just all sorts of weird stuff. Yeah, it wasn't great.
I've
connected them to my phone as well because I wanted to try out taking calls while I was playing Rocket League, and it works. You've got to adjust your dial for the chat versus game audio part to get that right, but it worked. It took a call, and I could still hear Rocket League, and I could keep playing and take my phone call. So
I experienced that last night. I picked up the Xbox Windows 10 dongle for PC because I didn't bother with the Bluetooth card in mine, and seems to work great. The only thing I
think that's what I need for my Windows machine. Yeah, because I've heard good experiences with that. With Bluetooth, it's a little up in the air depending on your Bluetooth connection and all that stuff.
Yeah. The only thing I really get annoyed with is I've got an Xbox down in the lounge, my Series S, for family and kids, and when I don't want to sit in this chair, which I have to sit in a lot most of the time, so I avoid it if I can. And then I've got the Xbox One X up here, and then I've got the PC, and it's like I wish there was like on the Elite Pad, like a mode switch, so it could remember like 3 or 4 devices, and rather than have to sync every time, because if I have it synced to one device, it will turn that device on if I turn them on. I wish there was a way you could just like hot swap, but that's just me being pernickety.
I will say with those headphones, one thing I've discovered, because I have to admit I was a bit disappointed in how they sounded. I know they're cheap, but like the PlayStation Golds are cheap too, but they still sound great to me. Yeah. And I'm not an audiophile. These didn't sound the best. I was using Turtle Beach Stealth 600s up until that point, and they sounded fine. But with these Xbox ones, it was like, ugh. As soon as I switched to Atmos, world of difference.
I'm using DTSX.
World of difference.
It's really nice.
Well, I had DTSX on, and even with DTSX, they didn't sound the best, these ones. But Atmos specifically sounded significantly better with these Xbox headphones. And I think the Bang & Olufsen ones are tuned for Atmos too, so I'm looking forward to... I'm going to demo them first, because if I'm going to spend $800, I need to notice a real difference between them and the $100 Xbox ones.
Yeah, I've been in too many bands as a kid. My ears are shot. I don't think I'd be able to hear any subtle differences, like I'm... Nah. I won't try.
Are you a drummer or a bass player? Or
I was lead singer and guitar and bass. Like I could do all three.
Right.
So my vanity was lead singer when I was a kid, and then I was like, I can't really play and sing. Like I just couldn't do it right.
Yeah.
And then I moved to bass because I worked really well with a drummer that I've worked with for years. So we kind of knew how to jam together, so it was a good time. But we were going to bring the band back last year, but really sadly the lead guitarist he'd been really ill for a number of years, and he was in remission, and it came back and just gone in a couple of weeks. And that was
very sad to hear.
It was one of those horrible that was just before lockdown, so it's been a downward trend for the last 18 months. But the music career is dead, but the YouTube career is prospering, right? That's the hope. But there are videos out there. If anyone is ever curious, they could find some stuff of me. I'm not going to point anyone in any directions, but yeah. What was the other last fun bit of news before we dive into Rumourmill?
Some April Fool's questions.
I didn't find April Fool's too bad this year, but Kotaku had a real bad time.
Jesus.
That is ever eager to maybe post a negative Xbox media story in the wake
I think that was the core of the issue. I think they thought, Halo's been delayed. This is juicy. Let's get the scoop on this. Come on, guys. Check the account. For
53 followers on that account, and they just let's get that news story up.
That little 7 trick is as old as Twitter itself, where people put that little 7 logo next to their name to make it look like they're a verified account. It's like, come on, man. I'm old and I don't fall for shit like that. Like, seriously?
It was
come on.
Very clickbaity. Like
you do wonder if they just didn't take 1 minute to just breathe and just go through everything, right?
Yeah.
And just first of all, it's April the 1st, right? No one's going to delay. No one's delaying a video game on April the 1st, right? They're going to wait till April the 2nd, okay?
Yeah.
And then, like you said, the verified checkmark thing. It's like, I mean, if you look at that and you just look at, if you look at it like quickly, you think, shit, that's a verified account, right? But if you obviously spend a little bit more time just looking at it again, you realize, something's not right with that account. You click on it and there's only, 10 followers or whatever. It's like, okay, I got to pull this article immediately, but for whatever reason they ran it. I mean, how does that happen? Well, I don't understand that.
I was thinking about this. How could that have happened, right? And I know for a fact when we know, sometimes we know things are coming, or sometimes you get get hints, and you might pre-write the bones and structure of a piece. Maybe there's just a Kotaku guy out there who's like, it's gonna get delayed again. I'll have it ready for when it does, so I can just press. I can update some dates and embed a tweet, and then just hit post. And there's almost, it felt a little bit like that mindset because it just appeared so quickly. And I don't think they were the only ones. Unless I was April Fool's, I swear I saw someone on our forums post a now deleted tweet of Brad Sams going, "Ha! What are all the people who said that I was lying?"
Brad Sams got rolled too.
And I didn't.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't drop him in it directly, but I think Randall 4 was like, he posted a tweet like mocking Kotaku and all of that, and I just posted the the Cerys S meme with the monkey like looking left and right.
Yeah,
I just posted BD Sams right now. Because I'd seen that he deleted or I'd read it, and he liked it, so I think he knew that I saw it.
Mate,
he thought he got away with it.
Staggered that they can get rolled like that. Like, seriously, I mean, why do you think the MLB announcement was a day or two after? Because no one would have believed it. Everyone would have been like, April Fool's, MLB's on Game Pass. That's why they waited.
Did you guys see the Volkswagen story? In the US.
What was that one?
So Volkswagen, VW, we're going to rename their company to Volt, as in the electricity vault, because of their desire to make electric cars. And it leaked early, and the press were like, is this serious? And they were like, yes, it's absolutely not an April Fool's joke. And then all of their stocks went, and they were like, no, it is an April Fool's joke. We were joking.
Oh my God. That is unbelievable. That is unbelievable.
Absolute plonkers.
That's funny.
Dear, social media. It's hard.
I don't know how the internet works.
Yeah, it's hard to get it right.
Yeah, Halo's not getting delayed.
No,
it's not. It's coming out for sure. It's funny. Last year, actually, was it last year? No, the year before, I went to a gaming convention in Portland, and I was at a bar after one of the shows, and there are a lot of game developers that were at that bar, and I was talking to a couple of them. Some of them worked at Bungie, and they used to work at 343, and they were telling me stories about how the development of Halo was in pretty rough shape. You know, it was just a lot of man hours are being done, and a lot of churn. People were leaving. You know, we heard stories about Chris Lee and you know, some other high level people at the company depart. And when I listened to that, I was like, and this was before the Craig Halo reveal, right? I was like, man, I'm not sure if Halo's going to come out. I think it's going to get delayed, and I've been saying it was going to get delayed for ages based on those talks that I had. Just what I heard. But this is different because, like, you know, they're giving us, because at that time there was like a radio silence, if you remember. With Halo. There was nothing, right? Nothing. And then all of a sudden they're going to show us, you know, the trailer for the gameplay, you know, trailer for Halo. And when they showed it, I was like, fuck, this game is not coming out at all. This game's going to get delayed. I knew it was going to get delayed because people were telling me that this game wasn't going to come out. But what they've shown us since then feels a lot different. Like, they're giving us monthly updates and they're showing us, you know, they're giving us progress updates. It's coming. There's no way this game is getting delayed. It's 100% coming out this year.
If you think a year of COVID development has only really equaled like a third of a year of normal development, you know, and now they've kind of got into the swing of it a bit more. I don't know if they're back at the office yet, but I think we're going to effectively see a year of extra polish and refinement on what they had planned to ship. You know, if not a few little extra bells and whistles, right? If they can get around to them and all of that jazz. But yeah, I can't wait to play it. I sincerely hope it is a return to form. I'm really looking forward to, you know, like, if you think about the rest of this year, you know, if you're a fan of Xbox, it's going to be this is the year, really. You know, the Series X is going to start to find its fit, especially if everything that's possible lands. You know, in the years of COVID, you shouldn't expect anything to land, really. But, you know, we haven't heard or seen a peep out of Playground. You know, Forza Horizon 5 was on Forza Horizon as a series was on a 2-year cadence. We had Jeff Grubb on the other week, and, you know, we all sort of thought, Forza Horizon 5 makes sense this year. They were a really efficient team. You think of Starfield, or the rumours and how Bethesda usually like to ship and talk about games. Halo Infinite. I mean, that's a hell of a end of the year. You know, three big games ticking different buckets of you know, user base. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun to be playing games this year. But yeah, so speaking of rumours and discussion of what might come and what might be, we occasionally on this podcast, Dimitri, we have a wonderful little section called the Rumourmill, which we would really invest in a jingle at this point that I can play.
I have one.
It's a copyrighted jingle. We can't use it.
Yeah, but it's like 3 seconds. It's like 7 seconds. It's Bananarama. I heard a rumour.
Why don't you sing it? Why don't you just sing it?
For like 6 seconds. Sorry? No, I'm not going to sing it. No way. But it's no way we get in trouble for like 6 seconds of Bananarama. Surely not.
Who knows, man? It's a crazy world out there.
Yep.
Mute the whole podcast for 6 seconds. It could happen. But anyway,
Bananarama may take the ad revenue from you guys. Who knows?
all 27 pence.
Yeah.
Go on, Nick. What have you got?
Okay, so that's why I was looking down all this time, because I was looking at my DM to make sure I say the right thing. Okay, so I've got it up on in the browser on Discord. So, you know, we were talking before, you know, and I think I said in the last episode how, like, they're not done with Game Pass. Like, I put out on Twitter that Outriders might be the first big third-party sort of AAA launching Game Pass, but it's not going to be the last. So, okay, here's what I can say. So there's a certain third-party AAA first-person shooter that is highly likely to be launching in Game Pass this fall. Now, remember, I've said before, I'm not a smart person. I'm a bit of a dumb see you next Tuesday. Like my sources are the ventriloquists. I'm just the dummy.
Okay, that's a good analogy. I'm with you.
They tell me what I can say, how I can say it, word for word. I run it past them. There is a third-party AAA first-person shooter that is very highly likely to be launching into Game Pass later this fall.
Now, if I were to surmise, and Dimitri, you might have another idea here, when I think AAA third-party first-person shooter, I think of two possibilities that are due for a release this year. One would be Call of Duty, which... You know, they've got the marketing money with Sony. I don't see Sony giving that up. I also don't really see Microsoft paying for that. They don't gel with it.
Well, would you have thought they'd pay for MLB?
True. You got me there. But I haven't heard... All bets are off now. I haven't heard MLB, anything.
All bets are off.
But my other bet would be Battlefield 6, because the EA Play relationship already exists. And I'm sure Microsoft are sharing lots and lots of lovely numbers about what it does for a player base when you've got 20 million people immediately available to play your game and access, cosmetics, whatever, that you also sell. Those would be my two immediate go-to thoughts when you say AAA third-person shooter.
There is another third-party first-person shooter coming out around the fall. It just got delayed to the fall. Back 4 Blood.
Oh, yeah.
Would you argue that's AAA, though? Is Back 4 Blood a AAA game?
I wouldn't call it AAA.
Yeah, most probably wouldn't.
No, I'd maybe label that as a very polished, larger
AA,
title, whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I know the game.
Oh, okay.
I'm not allowed to say what the game is. Like I said, everything I say, it's very specific, and I'm told exactly what I can say.
I'm gonna go with Battlefield as well on that one. Like I don't feel like Call of Duty gels either. And plus, I mean, have we forgotten the elephant in the room that it's 400 gigabytes or something to download that stupid game?
Yeah.
And it's going to take up more size than the Xbox Series S anyway.
Man.
Like, I got to figure, it's not Call of Duty.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And there was actually something else as well. Now, I think Jez alluded to this. I was listening to Xbox 2 on yesterday or the day before, and Jez alluded to another event that Microsoft was doing. And I did get told, I want to make sure I say the right thing. Where is it?
Have you ever said the wrong thing on camera?
Not yet. Not yet. I've been very my original source I've had for a year and a half, and I haven't burned them yet. So I must be doing okay. I very strictly adhere to what they tell me, and I'd rather not say something than say something wrong.
He did say the wrong thing a couple of times about this game called Elden Ring.
I think not.
Oh God!
Jeff Grubb already confirmed. Come on, and he told us off air. Jeff Grubb said, no, Nick was right. Elden Ring was meant to be there both times, and it just got...
Hey, what stays off air or something, right?
Elden Ring bullshit. So they've got currently there are plans for a video event for the week of the 11th of April. So sometime, which is only like a week.
Well, Age 4 is on the 10th.
Is it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the thing. This isn't a gaming-focused thing. It's more tech-focused. So that might even line up with GDC.
Well, isn't it?
Maybe.
They're doing a bunch of smaller conferences for Build, Ignite. I can't remember all the different things. I'm not a developer, so I don't pay as close attention to it. I don't know.
That's all I was told. No great detail on that one. Just a video event plan that's more tech focused. So I assume that's maybe part of GDC or the GDC stuff. But yeah, that was it. The video one was neither here nor there. It was more about the Game Pass thing.
Fair. I mean, swinging back to Back for Blood, I actually do expect that on Game Pass. I think that would do very, very well.
But put it this way. I think now, post MLB, people are probably expecting freaking everything to come to Game Pass now.
Yep.
Since that MLB announcement. Like, seriously, if they've pulled off a Sony-developed former exclusive as Game Pass day one, what the hell's off the table now?
Yeah, I've heard rumors about like Final Fantasy 7 Remake coming because like I don't know if that one's going to happen.
No,
at least not yet, right? It may happen next year, but you know, Sony does have that timed exclusivity with it. I think they still have it, but I've heard stories about stuff like that coming to Game Pass at some point. So I think I think there's a lot of people expecting big things now that they've already set the precedent for what's already coming. So.
Yeah,
for what's possible, yeah. Like, I can't think now what could be off the table now. Nothing. Like nothing. And I mean, as a Game Pass subscriber, bring it. I don't care. Just bring it all. I don't give a shit. I don't care at all.
Yep, that's fair.
Great.
Well, that's an interesting. So we'll see what happens. I definitely think it's got to be Battlefield, right? If everything, the partnership that they have, it just makes sense to me. But anyway, we'll see what happens. So that's the Rumourmill for this week. Now, at this point in the podcast, we like to have a little shout out to our patrons, which now I think are hovering around that 50 mark, something around those lines.
Yep. Roughly.
Particular big thank yous to our tier 2s and 3s who hopefully have seen the updated merch that they get this quarter. I'm really jealous of the main t-shirt right now. I'm going to have to get it onto our own merch store so I can get myself one because I really like the design. But to the Scarecrow 121, Torn Raptor, Nottian, Shadowgasm, Blaster Base, Big M, Iced Coffee Milk, VK Andrew, Sewing Shade,
Best
K,
name.
Not Jack, Cerys, Crazy Spaz, and Dylan. You're all lovely, lovely people. And I look forward to the day when it gets to a point where
you can't fit everyone on.
Yeah, like there's too many names and it would take like 20 minutes to read them. That's the era I want to get to. And it's just like, here's the numbers, here's all your names on a sheet of paper, you lovely gits.
Hey, Dim, tell me that Big M Iced Coffee Milk's not the best name.
It's a great name. I haven't had a Big M in probably about 15 years, I would say. Maybe longer actually. I used to love those things.
I think I need you guys to ship. Ed, can you ship something to me? I need to taste this for myself. Like, help me out here, man. Like, I'm living in just a lack of knowledge on this, and I do love iced coffee.
Nick, I've tried to get my dad to send a case of VB over here because we don't have VB. And I love VB. Nah, you can't do it. I've tried. We've tried. Yeah.
They're even funny about food, aren't they?
Yeah. Food. Some foods can come over without any issues, but yeah, depending on the ingredients in them, they like some. There was a thing with like folic acid for a while where you couldn't send Vegemite because Vegemite had folic acid inside of it,
really?
so they would
like Vegemite.
I love Vegemite. Come on.
Oh God, so you missed a question. You missed a question from like a couple of episodes back, which was like, how do you do your toast? Is it butter and then Vegemite, or Vegemite and then butter? And it's like, what?
Hell yes, it is.
Vegemite and Marmite are gross.
Yeah, I love the Vegemite. It's great.
Oh wow! No, I've never liked it. My kids love it, but I've never been a fan of Vegemite. What do you miss the most though, food wise?
I miss going to Oakley for a lamb souvlaki. And it's usually one of the required stops when I do visit Melbourne.
Hold on,
every year.
Melissa or Meet Me or where?
The last time we went to Meet Me, it was my wife and I and my mum and dad, which was really good. But I mean, any of those shops in that Oakley Strip area, I mean, you can't go wrong with a good souvlaki from
for those watching, and for you, John, Oakley. So Melbourne has the third biggest Greek population in the world, behind Athens and Thessaloniki, right? Literally. So we have more Greeks here than pretty much all of Greece.
Wow.
And when they all first came here, they were spread widely across Melbourne, but there were specific suburbs where the Greeks were very focused on. Right now, Oakley is basically like mini Greece. Like it's like mini Athens, Oakley. It's like that's where all the Greeks are. That's where all the Greeks go to eat. That's where they go to hang out. It's all So it was funny hearing them mention Oakley because I should have expected that. Like.
It's a required stop, mate. It's a required stop. Trust me. Every time we go, we got to hit it.
Next time you come to Melbourne, I'm going to stalk the shit out of you. We have to catch up.
All right. Did you know? I don't know if I ever told you this, Nick. Like when I was back in the telecoms industry before I start doing what I do now, I actually applied and got very close to uprooting the whole family to Melbourne.
Wow.
Melbourne's the best.
Which I kind of regret in some ways that I didn't go or succeed in pursuing that because it would have been a bit of a adventure to say the least. But
would have been hard. Our friend Adam Icegreen from World's Edge, or now from World's Edge, back then he wasn't. We had him on a very early episode of the podcast, and his work with Age of Empires has brought him to Melbourne a couple of times, and he said he loves it here. Yeah. I told him when he came, we were in Twitter DMs. I'm like, we've got to catch up for a coffee. Let's catch up for a coffee. And he ended up just being too busy. But he's told me the next time he comes down, we're going to catch up.
We'll have to get him back on after the April 10th
I've already
Age
sent
event.
him an email.
Jolly good. It'd be good to catch up on Age and see where that's at.
Yes.
I'm sure he'll be pleased to be able to actually talk about it.
And that's what I said to him. I said, why don't you come back on? Now that Age is like gearing up, why don't you come back on? We'll talk about Age.
Yeah.
So I think he wants to.
Yeah. Anyway, so now we move on to the final segment of our usual, scheduled programming, which is our community questions. So our patrons, and we've changed things up, just in case you weren't aware of what's been going. We celebrated our 50th episode of the XboxEra podcast last week. We've moved to a weekly format, which is scary.
We were fortnightly, which is why 50 is not a very high number, because we were fortnightly.
But what we found is we initially didn't want to gatekeep community questions too much because it's fun to involve your community and get some dialogue going. But we did our first show live last week, and we've actually kind of split how we're going to do it. So our patrons will always get a community question segment every podcast, no matter what. But the live shows is where people can interact with us a bit more, and we'll save the bigger community to be able to talk to us.
It was getting overwhelming. The community questions, honestly, it was becoming overwhelming.
The podcast would end up being 2.5 hours long, and an hour and 15 would be just community questions.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Me being me, I felt bad skipping questions. I didn't want to. Like, I wanted to answer every single question. And it was getting too much.
It was getting crazy.
I don't think we ever anticipated that we'd end up with that many. That's probably the problem.
True. So we shouldn't have too many. So
there isn't. There's 3.
Oh, jolly good. Easy peasy. I'm hoping one certain person has posted a question because I haven't actually read the Patreon page this week. We'll see. No,
that's fine.
That's fine. Control. Off you go.
Let's go. Torn Raptor. Hi guys, and hello to MVG, the best bloke on the Spawncast. You and Nate always speak the most scene, he said.
I think he means sense.
Yeah, probably.
It was just a typo.
Sense, yeah. A nice, easy one to start off with. What is the most recent game you discovered through Game Pass that you have enjoyed?
Outriders for me. I mean, it's an easy one to answer. I think that's the game that, it's one of those games where I think someone was saying earlier, probably wouldn't have, even considered taking a look at it, but just the social media buzz around the game, just everything. I saw a couple of reviews of the game as well over the last few days, and I decided to give it a go. So that would be it for me. Low hanging fruit, sure, but it's definitely that game for me.
I think Jesse Don Cabeza on the XboxEra team, he he got that game. He used the New Zealand trick to get in early, and he fully completed it. Seen the end game, played a bunch of additional stuff. I don't know. The man's a machine. He's no life to that. I don't know. His poor wife is all I think. But he posted a video review the other day that was, I think a lot of people have been like, I should really check this game out because
I've downloaded it.
It's not gonna sit on your Game of the Year awards list. But I think that's the type of game that Game Pass brings back a little bit. Is that I'm just gonna have fun this week or this month on Outriders, and 50% of people that play it might completely just say, "Yeah, I've had my fun, and I'm moving on." But it will still get a really core following just from being on that platform. So yeah, it's cool. I can't think of. I think I didn't discover it through Game Pass, but I haven't bought it, and I've certainly now forced myself to start playing it because I've heard so many cool things about it, and I was sitting there with what I like to call the Netflix syndrome of flicking through Game Pass and going, "What do I want to play? I don't know." And I said, "No, I'm going to play something a little bit more cinematic. I'm going to play Control." And I've been hammering through that the last couple of nights.
I don't mind Control. I don't mind it.
I am really enjoying it. It's a bit weird, and I kind of like the quirkiness of it. And I did have and I'm not playing the Series X version because I haven't bought it. I'm playing the Game Pass only version. It's smooth enough, it's a smooth 30, I guess. But I did have one bug which I think is caused by quick resume or leaving it in a suspended state. And spoiler alert, put your fingers in your ears for the next 30 seconds. You're searching for your brother in the game if you've played it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I played it.
There's a cutscene where you meet this lady called Marshall, and she's telling you what they did, and it's like meant to be, I suppose, really dramatic. The whole cutscene, the subtitles wouldn't work because I tried turning them on halfway through because there was zero audio coming from their mouths. So I was just like, don't know. What's the big reveal? I'm gonna have to go watch it on YouTube. Yeah,
all the more reason why it's good that I don't care about story in games, eh?
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, the gameplay's really cool. So I guess that's one for me that I probably wouldn't have picked up, but I am very, very pleasant time with it right now.
Mine's not recent, unfortunately, but there's a game, and I wouldn't even argue I discovered it through Game Pass because it was part of those indie sizzle reels that they do at E3s.
Mm-hmm.
But I've still got it installed and I still boot it up. Is West of Dead. Which is still, I believe, on Game Pass, and it's a
Ron Perlman.
Ron Perlman voices it, he narrates it, and it's that top-down sort of isometric roguelike twin stick cover shooter. It's like all those things.
Yeah, I think you did the review for it back in the day.
I reviewed it, because I really liked it, so I reviewed it. And I still play it. Like, it's actually just I wouldn't say a chill-out game because it gets intense and it gets full-on, but I don't know, there's something about it. It's just almost... You can get a rhythm going in it. It's almost Zen-like. Yeah, I quite like West of Dead. That's probably mine.
Cool.
West of Dead is good.
Good choice.
Very cool game. Okay. Oh, here we go. Hold on. Here we go.
Right.
Yes. I got the robe. Here we go.
You've got props.
Yeah, I said I was going to get... This is my wife's robe. Okay, I got the robe. I've got the pipe. Okay.
I need to get a copy of the Financial Times and be like...
No, I didn't. Yeah, anyway. I got the pipe out. Cerys' question. Here we go. All right. Hello, the artists formerly known as Panel, and hello, Demetrius. I haven't seen your channel before, but I've subbed since I am ancient and dream of times past. Okay, so... Here we go. A rabbit walks into a bar and says, "Have you got any carrots?" The barman replies, "No carrots, just beer and some crisps and nuts." Rabbit says, okay. "Have you got some carrots?" Barman looks confused and says, No carrots. This is a pub." Rabbit nods and says, "Okay, sorry, gotcha. I'll just have the carrots." Barman, getting annoyed, says, "Look, I told you, we don't have any carrots. Just beer, some crisps, some nuts, some scampi fries, and on Sundays, we do a ploughman's. Ask for carrots again, and I will nail your ears to the bar." Rabbit asks, "Got any nails?" "No." Got any carrots?
Hey.
Which leads me,
oh God,
elegantly into my question du jour. Who is the cutest pinata in the greatest game ever made? I say Bunnycomb. Oh my God, so funny.
Good.
Oh wow. So yes, Viva Pinata. Did you play Viva Pinata, Dim?
Yeah, many years ago. I really liked it.
Yeah,
but it's been a minute since I played that game, I tell you.
Yeah. Viva Pinata was so good.
Oh my God, cutest
favorite
pinata.
Pinata? I don't even remember the names of all the pinatas.
I don't remember them either.
Man,
in terms of looks, I like the Sparrow one. I can't even remember.
Sparrowmint.
Sparrowmint? It was Sparrowmint. Yeah, the Sparrowmint I thought was the cutest one. But there were cooler looking pinatas than that.
I'm lucky in that I booted this up probably about 3 weeks ago. I was showing my little boy because he likes those kinds of
Such
games.
a good game.
I'm gonna go with. I really like the tuna corn because it's got a cool name.
Yeah.
But I think my secret favorite is probably the I think it was the flutterscotch. It was like a tiny little moth thing.
Sounds about right.
It was pretty adorable. And who can not love the worm, which was the worm?
Yeah, the worm. Yeah.
But yeah, okay. That was a question, Cerys, and as always, you ask the best questions.
But now, Dim, that you've seen how Cerys asks questions, you now understand why I finally got around to getting the robe and the pipe and because
they're always
the questions like every time. That's how the questions are. There's this massive story that just has nothing to do with anything that then leads to a question.
Fantastic! I love it.
Oh God. That was the worst joke.
That was great.
I have a funnier joke than that about an animal in the bar. Should I tell it? Should I tell the
I
joke?
don't know. Is it politically and socially
applicable?
No,
it's appropriate. It's all appropriate. It's fine. So a guy walks into a bar with his best mate, the giraffe, and they sit down at the bar and they start having a few beers. And after a while, the giraffe goes to his mate, hey buddy, I gotta go take a piss. And his mate goes, yeah, all right, mate, go for it. But of course, he's a giraffe. Right, so he's clearly too tall for the door frame. So as he's going to the toilet, bang, just knocks himself out, hitting his head on the door frame, sprawled out on the floor. And the bartender looks over the bar, and he says to the guy still sitting at the bar, he goes, mate, come on, you can't just leave that lion there. And the guy goes, hey, that's not a lion, mate, that's a giraffe.
I hate you so much.
I like that.
I'm so sorry, Dim.
That's fine.
I'll understand if you decline any future requests.
Whatever.
Good God. Good God.
Okay. Last question. Blast the bass. Hey, what's up? Hello, Xboxers. Let me know if you agree. The Game Pass deal with MLB The Show is a bigger story than the Bethesda purchase, if only for the optics. Using the competition's previously exclusive game to bolster your subscription while they charge their own user base up to $70 is 4D chess.
I don't think it's bigger than the Bethesda story, but
probably not.
I do also agree with what he's saying about the optics as well. It was definitely a big thing, but the Bethesda thing is, we've just only begun. That's going to be something that's just going to continue, for years and years and years to come, and seeing the fruits of that, of that partnership, come to life. So I think
and I don't think that's the last publisher they're going to buy either. I'd wager they're probably looking at others.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was talk about Discord and stuff last week. So I mean, they definitely got their checkbooks open right now. Looking to spend some money, but
very much so.
The MLB thing, it's very hard to compare the MLB thing with the Bethesda thing for me. Both were big announcements, but big announcements for different reasons. And Bethesda is a long-term, big move for them that I think is a bigger thing overall.
I think maybe if you took the pure console war view,
you
could argue that it's as big, if not bigger, than the Bethesda thing, purely from a console war perspective, because they've literally secured a Sony first-party developed exclusive, and not only have they got it on Xbox, they got it into Game Pass as well. Like, so because you know how it is with console wars. Bethesda got secured. Oh, who cares? Bethesda's games suck. Who cares?
Yeah.
Does MLB now suck though? Like it's hard. I feel like it's hard
basically
now to make those say.
It's breaking fanboy logic because they can't hate the game because it's a Sony PlayStation exclusive, but it's also on Xbox. Short circuit and explode. Okay.
Yeah.
I get you.
I think purely from that console war fanboy angle, you could make the argument that it's possibly as big, if not bigger, than the Bethesda thing.
Yeah. Absolutely right.
Has anyone
purely through that lens?
Has anyone checked the AP99's Twitter account yet? I haven't.
Yes.
Is it good? Is it good this week?
People in the Discord have been posting it.
Have you ever heard of this guy, Tim?
No.
There is a level of me that thinks this is just a parody. Like this is just an act.
I reckon it's an act.
There are some out there that that they're doing it just for clicks. You know, it's not real.
Yeah,
it's good entertainment, right?
Yeah, it's an act. He got some notoriety with I think either a YouTube video or a Twitch stream where Horizon Zero Dawn went to PC and he was crying and all upset about it, and I think he got notoriety with that, and now he's got a little bit of a name thanks to that, and now he's like #cancel PlayStation. Jim Ryan needs to resign.
Did he start the petition?
Blah, 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 blah. I don't know. He probably started the petition. I've got no idea. But like I said, I'm pretty confident with that guy. It's an act.
Yeah,
but
just always makes me giggle when I see people being stupid. But yeah, I
don't know.
I'm surprised not more questions from maybe the Patreons are not used to this being weekly yet. They're not checking in.
Maybe they're not. That's okay. It works out well because we're on a little bit of a deadline today anyway. So that's okay.
Yeah.
Because as we know, community questions can get out of control.
Yeah, the tangents are real.
Out of control.
Now, I guess we'll close on one final topic outside of Outriders, because we normally start the podcast, but I think we just went with it today. Have you guys been playing anything outside of Outriders new this week?
No.
I'm still playing Little Nightmares 2, which is another game that came out. I think was it February or March.
Yeah.
So I've been playing that on the Xbox as well. I've been enjoying that. I never finished the game, so I'm going back and just making sure I complete it. Love it. Really, really good. Other than that, I don't really have that much time to play games, unfortunately, which makes it hard. So I usually save the time that I have for when something big comes out. I'll definitely check out MLB though, because I do like baseball. I wouldn't say I'm a baseball fan, but I've lived here long enough, and I like baseball. I think it's a cool sport. And they've always come out with good MLB games over the years on the PlayStation. So I definitely want to see what it's like on the Xbox as well.
Yeah.
But Little Nightmares 2 is probably the other big game for me that I've been playing.
Yeah, we had Sam from Windows Central on week before last, and he'd been playing. I don't know if you've completed it yet, and I don't want to spoil it if you have.
Not yet.
Okay. Cool. We'll talk when you have. Come and find me in the Discord.
Yeah, no, I'd love to. I mean,
it's a game.
If you've played, if you like Limbo or Outside, those games, this is very, very much in that same kind of mold where it's you everything in the world is trying to kill you and you have to survive. And
it's so
I like those kind of games.
Yeah, it's really good. I've been really enjoying. I don't know if anyone saw. I mentioned it briefly last time. It Takes Two dropped from Joseph Fares.
Yep.
I want to play that.
I wanted to make the commitment to play with my wife, because it's a game about marriage and reconciliation, and we've had our ups and downs over the last 18 months because of COVID and pressures and all of that fun stuff, and we thought it would be an interesting perspective. What I've quickly learned though is frankly my wife just can't play video games. She just I love her dearly, but she lacks the skills, the motor skills that have been ingrained in me since birth of being brought up on gaming. She just can't do it. So I started playing with a really good friend of mine, and I smashed about 5 hours of it last night, and it is video game perfection. Like, they have so many nods. Like, there's a bit, Nick, where that's honestly a really honest, great riff of Street Fighter, but they mix in all these different genres of game out of nowhere, and normally when games do that, they feel awkward or they don't feel good to control. But every single one feels really tight, and the story is bonkers, and the imagination is wild. And I would not be surprised to see that on a lot of people's Game of the Year list at the end of the year. It's getting great reviews. It's really good. It's getting great reviews. 100% go play it.
I've heard similar things. Everyone that's playing it is speaking very highly of it, and it's doing well. I definitely check it out. I mean, I liked his first game,
Brothers.
With the two brothers, that was pretty cool too. So I'll give this one a go.
Yeah, definitely, dude. It's a classic.
It's great.
Cool. All right. Well, look, it has been an absolute pleasure having you on, Dim. Thank you very much for taking the time out to hang out with us. We'll make sure Nick sends you a Discord invite, gets you in there. Even if you only lurk, it's a fun little place to lurk, and obviously check out the forums as well. It's been a blast.
I need a way to be in touch with him for when he comes to Melbourne.
I'll definitely let you know when that happens. Hopefully later this year I can make my way down there. Knock on wood, of course. There's obviously still a lot of bad stuff with COVID going around, but I don't know how it feels for you guys, but there's some hope now over here in the US with it. People are getting vaccinated. We're getting through a lot of people. Like we do. I hear like 10 million people a week are getting vaccinated. So hopefully if that's true, then we'll be in good shape later this year. So, but yeah, thank you so much, guys, for hanging out. It was a blast to chat with you guys. So I appreciate it, and let me know when you want me on again. I'll definitely be around.
We'll make it happen.
No worries. Don't worry, mate. Hey, I'm going to hold you to that.
Next week, right?
Well, we'll wrap things up then. So, big thank you as always to Dim and Ed for taking the time out, and we'll see you guys next time. Ciao for now.